Welcome, everyone, to our podcast. Today, we're sitting with partners in school nutrition, diving into actionable inspiration to provide you not only ideas, but strategies for success. I'm your host, Maureen Pisanick, and I'm thrilled to explore this topic with you and with some of our school nutrition friends. Hello, we are so excited to welcome Kelly Minnick, close to be retired director of Painesville City School, but just a true legacy in the field of child nutrition with over 3 decades, 34 years to be exact, of hard work, the hard work it is to be a school nutrition professional and warrior and really stand up for kids and for staff to really produce wonderful opportunities. And so I call her the mother of the Lunchbox. She has inspired me in so many ways in my career, and I am just super excited. It's my pleasure to have you here today. I hope you know how much I appreciate your time and all the wisdom and insights that you've helped me create really a purpose-driven career. And I know that's hard when you're thinking about retiring. I don't look at you as someone that will ever be done inspiring people, but what a career. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is a check off my bucket list of being on a podcast.
Well, I love that. So the first time, and you're wearing your beautiful shirt, the first time I was able to visit you, I want people to understand why I call you the mother of the Lunchbox, because for many people, challenging themselves to really elevate school meals for kids in the summer, to get kids participating in that process, I cried when I saw that Lunchbox come rolling through.
I remember.
I did. So I want people to understand, walk us through the process of really elevating your summer meals program with such a cool and groundbreaking, at the time you did it, you were the first, I think, in the state, at least the first I saw in the state, to be successful doing that type of work. Talk a little bit about it.
So when I started with Painesville City about 10 years ago, they always had a summer food service program, but it was in one building. And we have a lot of kids that walk to school. So I know that we were not reaching as many kids as we could have been throughout the summer to bridge that gap. So I just started, thinking about what we could do differently. And at the time in California, there was some mobile units that had started. So that's really where I got the idea from, because nobody comes up with their own ideas, right? You steal them because everybody shares in school food service.
That's
so
very true.
I got a used, it was a NASCAR trailer, and we just kind of revamped it. And it's really overkill for what we need, but it makes a big impact coming around the corner. So everybody knows the Lunchbox. They see the logo and see it coming. And we were able to reach more kids by going around the city and having 5 different stops instead of just the one stop that we had that was stationary in a building. So we were able to reach more families and feed more kids during the summer months. So
I love that. And so did you utilize grant funding, if I recall? Some grant
funding?
A
little bit. Okay. For Children's Hunger Alliance had given us a small grant to help with just the startup costs of it. We partnered with Avery Dennison, who is a local company in Painesville, and they donated the wrap to do the logo on the whole truck to get rid of the NASCAR stripes on it. So. Yeah. So the visual impact was, it was important. I mean, it comes around the corner and it's full of bright pictures of food and produce. And, I think what struck me so was that you were obviously meeting the needs of the community in such a greater way, meeting folks where they were at. But when you think about the why behind what we do, I say it's not nutrition unless they eat it. Some of these kids have food insecurity. And after the school bell rings for the last day, to be able to really increase your numbers and really provide supports for community and kids that go whole summers without having the balance of nutrition that school meals provide. I think that, number one, is just hugely inspirational. But
talk a little bit about, you didn't just stop there. So, kids are in the summer, parents are busy, but you were able to partner with 2 other organizations. So this was like not just feeding kids, which is the number one goal here, and was reaching more kids. What else did you wrap around that love? It was like a big hug coming around the corner, all 3.
Yeah. So we were trying to come up with more of a, motivation for families to come out and come to the Lunchbox to get, lunch at the time, because we don't do breakfast. We only serve lunch because of logistics. But we partnered with the YMCA. So they came out 2 days a week and did some organized, very unstructured play with the kids, whether it was just bringing soccer balls or hula hoops, and just making it a little bit more fun. 2 days a week, we partnered with the Lake County General Health District, and we had people that came out and did nutrition education for the families there that came on site. So they just talked to them about nutrition. And then we also had a startup in a different way for the district, and it was called the Book Box. So it was donated books, and at each stop they would get all the books out, and the kids, and it evolved over the years, and then there were books for adults too. And it wasn't like a library. They could just take them and bring them back when they were done with them, or they could pass them along to somebody else or keep them. So that was just really fun. And then COVID hit and some of that stopped. But and then the Book Box kind of took a different path and went into an extended learning program that was in some of the elementaries. It's still around, but
you inspired it, right? And, for the idea for inspiring people to think differently about school, food service, especially in the summer. There are a lot of people that say, it's not, I don't want to do it. I mean, for me, the why behind what you did there, and then also the connection that it wasn't just you alone. It was the value that the community could bring together and bring different pieces, physical activity, mindful discussions about what families are doing with their own nutrition, reading literacy. I mean, it was the whole kit and caboodle. So don't sell yourself short. That it kind of, it was and is still, like, I think, such a huge legacy. Would you consult with schools that would be like, hey, I really want to think about my summer program differently? I mean, I think that, I tease you, you're going to retire, maybe somewhat. But
I never go away.
You don't. And I don't want you to, for that matter. But having conversations just to help people get started. I mean, I think you talked humbly about getting a grant, but being brave enough to apply for the grants and really see the grant come to life in a way that was supportive of your mission and your role. Also, there's schools that contact us like, hey, I have a spend down plan. I'm just thinking, man, this is a great opportunity to help schools understand with a small investment the benefits that you can see.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone who would want to reach out, I would be more than happy to have those conversations with them. I've talked to many districts over the years about starting a program.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you have a great video. You have like a video promo, so we can share that out with folks too to kind of get them as excited as I was.
There's a lot that goes into it, and I think that when people see it and then they're like, oh, I can do that. And I talk to them about what the process is, and I haven't seen a whole lot of people follow through just because of the startup is work.
And you train somebody to how to like pull behind a fifth wheel too. I mean, that's no small feat.
Yes. The driver is very important.
Traveling with a pull behind vehicle. Yes. Well, again, I call you the mother of the Lunchbox, but it's so inspired by not only that one little snippet of the many things you've done in school, nutrition, since you've been in this career, 34 years. One of the other pillars, I think, in terms of inspiring your legacy is your work within the School Nutrition Association. And for those that don't know, the School Nutrition Association is one that supports what we do professionally and allows for leaders to really come together. You said something like, we're not competitive restaurants, right? I always say the rising tide lifts all boats, right? But tell me a little bit about your experience as a director who, you were a president at both the local and state level, and your work within school nutrition, and why you think it's important to encourage that active involvement for newcoming food service professionals.
Well, when I started 34 years ago, I had a lot of great mentors myself, and I was 24 when I started, and I was young at the time. I feel like now we have younger people coming into the career of school nutrition, but back then I was like a baby, and I had all these women, because it was mostly women, that were surrounding me, and at the end of their career, so they were always pushing me to get involved. And without them, there's so many. I shouldn't say nobody. A lot of people probably don't know these names, but Becky Adams, Beth Spinks, Linda Bass-Wiley. There's a whole contingent from Southern Ohio, and up into the Toledo area, and Joanne Robinette. There's just so many legends that, for me, that I remember, and I see myself in them, or them in me, whichever way it goes. But they just really inspired me and they pushed me about getting involved in School Nutrition Association and taking on the, whether it was just an appointed position or then running for offices at the different levels. It just opens up so many doors. And if you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to continue to learn and grow. And if you just stay in your district and never attend meetings and just keep pushing yourself, then I just feel like you stay stagnant. And, we don't know everything. So the people who have come before us and had that experience doesn't mean they're always right, but it's just a different perspective. And there's so many experiences and memories that I've made throughout the year. I was thinking on the way here about, if I wasn't involved with School Nutrition Association, I don't think they do this anymore, but at the time, Georgetown University, I was able to go to a business, I'm a graduate of Georgetown, basically, after attending this course for 2 days.
I love it. You can have that on your resume.
But just so many, whether it's Legislative Action Conference or the Industry Conference or the national conferences, the state, on down to the local. By attending those and getting involved, you just build relationships. And
yeah, I love that.
One of the ways that we've bonded over the years.
It has. So, you were one of the push me into get involved, girl. You can do this. And I think it has been like a snowball effect. As I sent my youngest Pisanick to LAC this year, Legislative Action Conference. It's not only it's not about thinking only about yourself. It's about thinking about the bigger picture, the greater of the whole. Yep. And I love that you said that. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's been a lot of good foundation laid in our state, in our backyards. Really being able to tap into the wisdom. And I, no offense to our male watchers or listeners, it's kind of the power of the she. I love seeing women grow in their own confidence. And you brought up the idea of being able to take additional coursework on business knowledge, because school nutrition is business. Yep. And so what I love about the professional organizations and being a part of the groups and the peer conversations is really learning maybe something you didn't learn in school about, if you came from a background of culinary, you learn mostly about food, but maybe not the business of it. Some folks come by way of it as a dietitian, and they throw us in hospitals, and we know nothing about food service, and then we come in and have to do that. So I love the idea of inspiring people to reach out to that network, and that it really is supportive. I think one of the toughest challenges for schools, you've been doing this for 34 years and change is a constant, right? But right now it feels imminent. There's a lot of uncertainty and staffing since COVID. You mentioned COVID has been an issue and a challenge. Talk to us a little bit about the ebbs and flows of the work you've seen over 3 decades plus, and that resilience is such a key part of just being dedicated and steadfast, and has seen you through some ups and downs and certainly changes within school nutrition in the past 3 decades. It's changed quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know what the world's going to throw at you, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's COVID or something else. So there's always that uncertainty. I feel like I've been very fortunate over the years in I think it's 10 plus districts I've worked with in one shape or another, that it's just, my experience is that most of the staff that I've worked with have been there for the kids. It's a great career for moms, working moms, but in the end, they're really there for the kids and they care about the kids. So when I have to hire, that's what I look for, the person who maybe doesn't know anything about food service, never worked in a restaurant or have any kind of background about that, but it's the soft skills that you can't teach. I'd rather hire somebody who is a learn-it-all than a know-it-all, because that is what you can't teach. You can teach the skills and everything. So the number one thing that drives me when I'm hiring and looking for new staffing is that, because the uncertainty part, as long as the people are there for the right reasons for kids and feeding kids, and then the rest kind of falls in place. And just, I've always been very transparent with any of the teams that I've worked with as far as what might be coming down the road. If I know something might be happening, I try to prepare them mentally, because if you do that, then when that change does happen or might happen, it's easier to take, because it's not just cold water being thrown at you. So.
Right. And the possibilities, I love what you said about learn it all, not a know it all. I'm going to have to use that. See, another pearl of wisdom, a Kellyism I've picked up along the travels here. There are teachable skills and there are some unteachable skills, right? And so I do think one of the things about leadership that you've always inspired me is you care about your staff. You're there for the kids and you show up in ways, creative ways, the Lunchbox, different programs. But I think the resilience of school nutrition staff is in a lot of ways imparted by a strong leader. And so if you had one bit of advice to give school nutrition leaders today, knowing that uncertainty is going to be a part of the job, how do you manage that? What would be one thing you tell them? Go in the freezer and scream and come out, or what is it? What is it?
Pretty much, yeah. It's as a director, we don't see the kids every day. Mm-hmm. Our staff, our teams that are in the kitchen, they're the ones who see them every day. So I have always tried to focus for me on my staffing, because it all trickles down. Mm-hmm. Because if your boss cares about you, then you're paying it forward to your customers, which are the kids. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think that for me, in my career, that's probably been the most important aspect of the job, because when it comes down to it, like what you said about leadership and who your staff's reporting to, working with, that it means a lot, because if they're feeling neglected or not communicated with or not supported, then it just comes out in ugly ways.
Right.
So.
And the loyalty, you're loyal to them and then they're loyal to you, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I could talk to you for hours, but I want to be fair to your time and to our listeners. We always end these with a fun question. So you just sent me a bunch of fun pictures. It's been April Fool's, and your ladies did great comedy in the lunch behind the scenes. Yeah. But tell me, if you had your choice to create a recipe or eat a recipe, what was your favorite school lunch coming up?
Growing up? Mm-hmm. Well, I was a packer.
See, you are not the first person to say that. And I call it the P word.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about school lunch. So, okay.
But, so I don't know why I'm thinking my mom would collect these 50-cent pieces. Mm-hmm. Remember 50-cent pieces? I don't even know if they still exist. But, so usually if I wanted to buy a lunch, I would just go borrow a few of those 50-cent pieces. I think it took like two. I think it was like, I don't even remember how much lunch was at the time. But she would let us buy maybe once a month on a Wednesday because that was pizza day. Mm-hmm. So
pizza.
I guess I would say pizza. But then once I got into high school, my lunch consisted of ho-hos.
Oh, goodness.
That I bought in the cafeteria.
Okay. Before Smart Snacks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And white milk.
And white milk.
So I would peel off the chocolate and unroll the ho-ho and make it last all lunch period. That was my lunch.
Oh, well, the American Dairy will be happy to hear you at least picked up that milk.
I did. Because you can't have a ho-ho without milk.
I love it. I love it. Well, there's so many memories that we have shared, and I know there'll be more to come. We appreciate Kelly for being with us today. We hope you have gained some insights. There's lots of wisdom to be gleaned, not only from the conversation today, but really leaning into that mentorship. That piece, if I can think of one bit of advice, is, don't be afraid to try something new, but leaning into folks that have done it before you, or at least have experience. So we're not alone in this, right? We're not alone in this. So we appreciate your listening and viewing today. And we always appreciate the time we get to learn. Wiser than me. You are wiser than me. You've taught me many things. So just personally, I appreciate the time we've worked together. And I hope that it will continue, even though we won't use you too much because, we want you to enjoy retirement. You fully deserve it as well.
You know where I am. But thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.